I want you to have whatever it is you want. Does that include the baby?
Well, it did when I thought you wanted it.
Mort, I think it would be wrong to have a child at our age.
Oh, so do I, Walter. Oh, Walter, so do I.
Looks like it's leading, but I think what it's doing is it's following very fast, so that sometimes it catches a mood and it catches something going on in society and responds to it so quickly that it seems to come at us from a sitcom before it ever registers in our subconscious. It's kind of the deja vu of comedy because it is so current.
So a lot of these shows in the late 60s and 70s really kind of, brought about a different vision of women that I think was very influential. Most television situation comedies before that time had tended to emphasize like the domestic family and the mother stayed at home.
Mary Richards, who everybody thought would be the first girl in our class to be married, has proved to be a real surprise. Not only is Mary still single, but she's become a real career gal.
Again, like Mary Tyler Moore was a great example of a single female character who actually had a job. And that was really important at the time the show aired because there just had been very few shows that were able to show that.
Their depiction of a working woman, and what I think is really important about Mary Tyler Moore is the lesson that a lot of people from my generation learned from that as kids watching TV, is that work is all the family you need. Mary, you never see any family or friends of Mary's outside of that TV station. And if you look in our office now, the people who are that generation, you'll see us at the office at all hours. We really took that lesson to heart.
If God had intended white people to dance with colored people, he'd have given us rhythm too.
All in the Family made people aware of the idea that just because somebody has views that aren't necessarily the common prevailing wisdom, that they can still be a good person, care about their family and so on. And that kind of duality, having these bigoted views and still being an otherwise good person, is something that people hadn't really considered at that time.
All in the Family tried to deal with a variety of different social issues. The common thread throughout each episode usually involved the conflict between Archie Bunker, who was supposed to be a bigot, like a bigoted character, and then his daughter and son-in-law. One of the very influential things about that show was that it made television a kind of discussion ground or discussion forum for issues that just really weren't getting talked about openly on television. So in that sense, I think the situation comedy had an impact.
Public speaking in college?
You did?
Mm-hmm. The first thing that they teach you is that you've got to be true to yourself. And you are all about authority.
Yes, I am.
The great speakers throughout history were not joke tellers. They were people of passion. So if you want to do well today, you got to do what they did.
Which is?
You've got to wave your arms and you've got to pound your fists many times so as to emphasize your point.
If you like a character and that character represents your politics, you will be out there quoting that person all the time. If you don't agree with the politics of a particular character, then you probably won't go near that particular point, unless you're really making fun of them.
MASH, which of course everyone knows to today, was in fact an anti-Vietnam situation comedy set in Korea. I think the world is open, but I think that would be for any kind of the program formats. I think people are less concerned with having things sort of constrained in the fictional world of television and are more willing to accept that there is an outside world there that has to impinge on these programs. In some ways, I would say the most important program in that regard probably was Roseanne, because Roseanne also took us away from the middle class. Since then, I think it's not a more accurate portrayal, but I think it's a more broadly inclusive portrayal though still within the framework of fictional presentation that has to follow a particular dramatic format, which our lives don't exist in 22-minute segments.
Somebody say baby back ribs? Hmm?
I don't think Christian has time for that.
I have
Thought,
time.
mean,
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my
baby back ribs.
Office is one that's really over, like, they'll do this really inappropriate thing of Michael having a business lunch at Hooters right at the same time when Walmart is being sued because the Walmart in Decatur decided that this Hooters up here in Coliseum was the right place to have their business lunches. So you're going 40 miles and it's inappropriate, and they're being sued for it, part of a national suit. And in that climate, Hooters is still paying money to depict this thing going on. Back then in the 50s, you had the very overt kind of George and Gracie and whatever brand of condensed milk that was that Gracie made her pies with. And now you have the product placement. And so it seems like there's this arc where it was less subtle then, moreover, and it's becoming more overt now. You have a show like How I Met My Mother. And last season, they did this really dramatic season finale where the one couple was breaking up. And then they stop and they say, hey, wait a minute. Let's take a time out on this fight and go eat at Red Lobster. And then you cut to the exterior of a Red Lobster in Manhattan, and then you go inside and they're eating, they're talking about how good the food is, and then the scene ends, and then you see the slide go up and the voice goes, How I Met Your Mother, brought to you by Red Lobster. And that's not even subtle. And you're thinking to yourself, they're in Midtown freaking Manhattan. Why are they eating at Red Lobster?